أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ثم أما بعد. Today, inshallah, we'll be speaking about another destructive thing that can destroy our iman. Imam Ghazali, in this part, we will speak about condemnation of self-praise, arrogance, pride. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kibriya is my rida. We'll talk about the meaning of the word Kibriya. Wal-'azama izari. Al-Kibriya ridai wal-'azamatu izari faman naza'ani fihima qasamtuhu. The word Kibriya belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والله الخالق البارئ والله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم غيب الشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم والله الذي لا إله إلا هو الخالق البارئ المصور والله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم غيب الشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم والله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر. The word متكبر is of course a very negative word, but for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of his names. And the word متكبر is coming from the word kibr or kabir, right? So everything has something bigger than it, right? And there's nothing bigger than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bigger than all other things. That's why we always remember Allahu Akbar. If there's anything big, huge, strong, powerful, Allah has more. Allah is Akbar. Right? So that's why he's al-mutakabbir. He's above his creation, subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing like unto him. Right? So that's why Allah is the only one who has the right to be mutakabbir, because he's kabir. But the kibr in human behavior is very much condemned, because one must not act as God. You remember we talked last week, or the week before, about perfection. People like to think of themselves as perfect. I have it all. I have the knowledge, I have the money, I have the beauty, I have all these kind of things. Which is a big mistake that people make, that they think of themselves as perfect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa mutakabbir, because he's al-khaliq, al-bari al-musawwir. Al-khaliq subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who gives life and death. So he's in control and has power over all things. وهو القاهر فوق عباده سبحانه وتعالى. وهو القاهر فوق عباده. Nothing like, can stop Allah from doing anything. Right? But when people show this arrogance and self-praise, that's very much disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's as if you are trying to take, that Imam Ghazali gave this example of someone, the king was sitting and he tried to take his crown and sit on his throne. That's very inappropriate, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that pride is my shirt, and kibriya or azama, greatness, is my cloth, and whoever tried to take this, I will destroy him. Not take this in a way that you take it away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but whoever tried to dress this kind of shirt and cloth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not like it. And the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said there are three destructive things. Shuhun muta', that stinginess that is obeyed, and desires are followed or satisfied. And the third thing is that when the person is he admires himself, he likes himself and likes his knowledge and power and wealth and so on. These things are very destructive. Stinginess, we talked about it before, and we talked about desires that are out of control, And one of these desires in particular is al-ujb, or arrogance. Then Imam Ghazali will talk about kibr and ujb. He divided this chapter into two. One, he talks about kibr, which is arrogance, and al-ujb, or self-praise. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْتَكْبِرِينَ. Allah does not like arrogant people. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said this very scary hadith. Whoever has a size of a master seed of kibr will never enter paradise. That small kibr will prevent the person from entering paradise. This is how much Allah dislikes mutakabbirin. And the mutakabbir, one day the Prophet ﷺ was asked by a person, one of the Sahaba, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I always like to buy expensive, nice shoes, and I like beauty in clothes. So I buy kind of expensive clothes. I take very good care of my amama and the way I look, every detail. In this kibr, when Rasulullah said this hadith, warning about kibr and the people have a small amount of kibr will not enter paradise, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I like these things. I like to apply the expensive perfume. And the Prophet said, Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. No, this is not what I mean. In fact, Allah is jameel. Allah yuhibbul jamal. Allah loves beauty. And then he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gave a definition of al-kibr. And when he said, al-kibru batarul haqqi wa ghamtul nas. It's not the way you look. Although sometimes take pride of the way they look, right? It depends on their intention. But dressing nice clothes in of itself is not bad. In fact, it is good, it's encouraged, because Rasulullah said Allah is jameel and He loves beauty. But he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, Al-kibru batarul haqq wa ghamtul nas. What does this mean? Batarul haqq means that you know your opinion is wrong. You see the truth, but you don't want to follow the truth, out of arrogance. Wa ghamtul nas means that you look down at people. You despise people because they have less money, or they are less educated, or whatever. These are the two criteria for real kibr. And by the way, Imam Ghazali actually talks about kibr and takabbur. There's a difference between it. Kibr is the feeling inside the heart. That's called kibr, right? Takabbur is the action. When someone does not like, when he walks in, he wants everybody to stand up for him, or for people to give him their chairs, or expect people to introduce him with a long introduction, and that's kibr. Or this is takabbur, in fact, not kibr, it's takabbur. Kibr is inside, takabbur is outside. Takabbur is the verb itself, the action. It was narrated that Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Amr, when we talk about the Sahaba, there are al-Abadila. Abadila is the plural of Abdullah. How many Abdullah, the Sahaba? Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. Okay? There's Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who was younger than them, and others. But when you say al-Abadila, we refer to these four, Abdullah, right? And sometimes the narrator that he said, and Abdullah said, and sometimes he referred to Ibn Mas'ud, and sometimes Ibn Abbas. So Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, they were close in age, and one day they were making Hajj or Umrah, and they met each other at the Safa, doing Sa'i. So they talked for a while, and then Abdullah ibn Amr left, and people found Abdullah ibn Umar crying. And they asked him, why are you crying? He said, because Abdullah ibn Amr, who used, by the way, to write the hadith of the Prophet. He used to write. Whatever he hears, he goes, and he knows how to write. So he had a big box full of hadith of the Prophet. So they asked Abdullah ibn Umar, why are you crying? He said, Abdullah ibn Amr means that he said or told me that he heard the Prophet saying that he who has a very small amount of kibr in his heart will not enter paradise, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cast him his face on Jahannam. So why is crying? Because we all have this sense of pride. And I have to address this point. It's natural to every one of us want to find something to feel proud of, right? Either your son or daughter, your degree, your job, your achievement. That's why we are motivated to make more achievements, right? We are always motivated to do good, to compete with others, because we want to feel proud of something, right? And that in itself is not wrong, it's not bad. Right? That in itself is not bad. But if the only intention of our deeds is people, I just want to study or seek knowledge to be known as a scholar and people talk about me or to make money, that's a different story. But making achievements in our life is part of who we are. And in fact, if you look at Imam Ghazali actually talked about this also somewhere else. You know, for scholars to stay for 12 hours in the library, it's not easy. They deprive themselves from so many things that usually people are attracted to. Right? To sit and write and read and to do all these amazing work. It's not, for some of them they enjoy it. Some of them they enjoy that. But really it's difficult. Right? But it's again part of who we are. That we do things to satisfy this need of being proud of something, right? We want our kids to be the best. Why? Because we want to be proud. And there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is, according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, بَطَرُ الْحَقِّ وَغَمْطُ to look down at others. And to put always yourself akbar, to put yourself akbar from people, right? That's the word kibr, or takabbur, coming from the word akbar, to feel that you are greater than others, you are more knowledgeable than others, you are more educated than others, you make more money than others, and so on. And this kibr is shown in the takabbur, in action. Hadith al-Bukhari al-Muslim, one of the nice books that I got when I was very young, it's called Al-Lu'lu' wal-Marjan. Al-Lu'lu' wal-Marjan. فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان. That some ulama, they put the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, because some hadith in Bukhari are not in Muslim. Some hadith in Muslim are not in Bukhari, and many hadith are in both Bukhari and Muslim. So when hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, they call muttafaqun alayh, agreed upon. So when you see in the end of the hadith agreed upon, this means that both Bukhari and Muslim include this hadith in their Sahih, and many consider this to be in the highest level of authenticity. And that was one of them. When I got the book, I was in middle school, and I was very happy that I have the second authentic hadith, as people like to call it. I disagree with that to some extent. Well, they call it the second authentic after the Quran, Bukhari and Muslim, and especially what's agreed upon. And I found this hadith, I still remember this day, when Jannah and Nar, they disputed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Jahannam said, why is that? The dwellers of me are always the mutakabbirin and mutajabbirin and dictators and evil people. And the Jannah said, and why is that? Only the weak, poor people, most of the people who come or dwell in me, Jannah, are the poor and the weak people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to both of them. He said to Jannah, you are my rahmah. I grant you my rahmah to whoever I want. And he talked to the fire and the hellfire and told the hellfire that you are my adab, my wrath that I put in you whoever I want. And Allah promised each one of you will be filled with people. Right? يوم نقول جهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد. They will both be filled with people. Nuh alayhi salam, before his death, also authentic hadith, he said to his children, I will give you 2 injunctions and 2 prohibitions. One injunction is to always say La ilaha illallah and Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. He said if the entire universe is put in one side of the scale and the La ilaha illallah on the other side, la ilaha illallah will be heavier. You know the hadith of Bitaqa. I think we mentioned this hadith many times before. The person that will come on the day of judgment with tons of sins and very few good deeds, and then of course the sins will be much heavier, and he, is certain that he is destroyed. Hadith also in the Bukhari. And then the angel said, no, wait, there is still something to be added to his good deeds. And what is this? And this hadith, by the way, is known as hadith al-bitaqa. Bitaqa means card. You know the credit card? Bitaqa. That's called bitaqa. So they will say there's something to be added to his good deeds. And he will ask, what's this thing? He said, this card. And he said, what would this card do to all these tons of bad deeds? And they will place this card in his good deeds side, and all bad deeds will just fly away. And he said, what kind of card is this? What's in this card? And they will tell him, this la ilaha illallah in this card. Hadith al-bitaqa. Remember this hadith. Right? So Nuh alayhi salam told them, always keep saying la ilaha illallah, subhanallah wa bihamdi, because this is the salah of everything. All creation, trees and the sun and the moon and mountains. This is the salah of everything. And the angels, يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ, right? وَبِهَا يُرْزَقُ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ. And through this, rizq comes to all things. I'm sure we like this one. So say more subhanallah bihamdi and get some praise, inshallah. I forbid you from shirk and kibr. Shirk and kibr. We know that perhaps the first sin being committed that in human history is kibr, right? When Iblis said, I'm not going to bow down to Adam, because I'm better than him. That's kibr. He wants to put himself up, in the top and Adam in the bottom. He says, I am better than him. How can I bow down to him? Right? It was narrated, by the way, that Iblis did not, he came to Musa alayhi salam and said, is there any way I can just, because the day of judgment is coming soon and I know I'll be in trouble. Is there any way that we can just, for Allah to, remove the curse from me and to accept me? Is there any hope? And then Musa told him, let me talk to Allah. Musa talked to him and told him, Ya Allah, is there any way? You have done so much wrong things, but you are Arham Rahim. Is there any way? So Allah told him that tell him to go and bow down to the grave of Adam. Then there could be some hope. So Musa alayhi salam, I think, thought it's a good deal. All horrible things that committed could be forgiven. Then he told him, Allah said that go and bow down to the grave of Adam. And he said, I did not bow down to him when he was alive. Now I go and bow down to him in his grave? No, I'm not going to do this. And as Imam Ghazali said, that kibr is for some people, it's very deep in their hearts. It's very deep. It's very difficult. Take it away. Very difficult. Right, in the third or fourth stage, as they say about cancer and other things. It's very difficult to take it away from them. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu said that لا يحقرن أحد من المسلمين فإن صغير المسلمين عند الله كبير. You should never ever look down at any Muslim, because the the word صغير literally means small, but it could be small in size or money, in social status or anything, not only in age. Right? صغير المسلمين عند الله كبير. Any Muslim who's صغير in the eyes of the people is great in Allah's eyes. So never ever look down at any Muslim. Then Imam Ghazali mentioned a number of hadith about condemning arrogance, and this famous hadith mentioned Bukhari and Muslim, متفق عليه also, Bukhari and Muslim, لا ينظر الله إلى رجل لا يجر إزاره بطرا. Allah does not like to the person who drags his tail or his clothes on the ground out of arrogance. And that, again, as I mentioned before, that was the custom in Arabia at that time. Wealthy people, used to dress expensive, and they make it tall intentionally, very long. So when they walk, they drag their clothes behind them. Poor people cannot even afford izar or a towel that they cover themselves with. But they want to show that they have more than this. And this is what many, again, big fuss about how long your pants should be. As if we have solved all our problems and this is the only problem. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad to tell people that if your pant is below your ankle, then you go to hell, and if it's above your ankle, then you're safe, you're good. And those who insist on this, they forget this word that mentioned in almost in all narrations, or most of them. Allah does not look at those who drag their clothes on out of arrogance. بطرا or عجبا. And those who do it out of arrogance. Right? In the other hadith, من جر ثوبه خيلاء. خيلاء also means arrogance. لا ينظر الله إليه. Allah will not look at him. In other narration, Abu Bakr said, Ya Rasulullah, but sometimes my izar. Izar means like in ihram, I have this towel, wrap it around, that's called izar. Right? In old days, don't have underwear and all these kind of things. They have just izar and rida. The part the clothes that covers the lower part called izar. Right? And the part that covers their upper part called rida. In this hot area, you're good if you can afford to have izar. Some people even don't have rida, they have just izar. And the upper part are shirtless, as we say them today. But those who can afford, they dress 2 or 3 and 4 things, right? And showing off. Some people fight about this, and your salah is not accepted, and Allah will not look at you because your pant is 2 inches long. And as we mentioned before, also Imam Ghazali actually talked about this. Sometimes having a short pant could be actually showing off. It all depends on the intention. So those who do this not because of arrogance, they are not included in this hadith, inshallah. In the hadith, Rasulullah talked about humility or humbleness when he said that ثلاث أقسم عليهم, I swear by Allah for 3 things, that your money will not decrease when you're doing sadaqah. It's a fact. And when you humble yourself to people, Allah will raise you in ranks. So you put yourself down, Allah will put you up. And the opposite is also true. Those who always try to put themselves up, Allah puts them down. People sometimes when they have discussions, they find out that they're wrong and others are right, but they insist in defending their opinion because they don't want to lose the debate. And we have seen this in social gatherings. People sit and someone brings something up and people start talking, and usually the knowledgeable people don't talk so much and the ignorant start talking. And then when during the discussion, you'll find out, come on, man. But they keep arguing and insisting, and they never change their opinion. That out of arrogance, and this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said, بَطَرُ الْحَقِّ. You see the truth, but you don't want to follow, because you're too arrogant to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong, you are right. It takes a lot of courage for people, like Umar radiallahu anhu, when he tried to make a law to put a ceiling for the muhur, and this lady stood up and told him that Allah said, وَأَتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا, even if you give some of them tons of money, don't take it back. So, and he said, yeah, you are right and I'm wrong. End of the story. Right? But insisting on doing the wrong thing is good. A lot of sayings and stories, I'll choose some of them. It has been narrated when Sulaiman alayhi salam, one day he ordered all his hosts of jinn and human and birds and animals to come together in a big procession. And the wind is subject for him and so on. And it has been said that if he had just a very small amount of kibr, he wouldn't have given this power by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim Sulami. Now before this, Al-Mughira said, we used to, Ibrahim al-Nakhai was one of the great ulama and sahaba, tabi'in. Ibrahim al-Nakhai. They said that people used to respect them very highly because he was a great imam. And he said this number of times that a time in which I have been considered an imam is a bad time. And I will say the same thing. Although he was very respected by people, but he said that for me to be an imam, that means that that's not a good time for people. People actually take pride of so many things. Imam Ghazali mentioned some of them. Al-ilm. One of them is ilm, knowledge. And he's talking about Islamic knowledge here. When he said, وَمَا أَسْرَعْ الْكِبْرِ إِلَى الْعُلَمَاء, how fast is kibr to the heart of the scholars. And he was one of them. He went through all this, and he knows exactly what he's talking about. And I've seen this. It's very unfortunate, but this is the reality. When people have knowledge and they have the kibr of Fir'aun in their hearts, and they expect people to treat them in a certain way, and get very upset if people don't, call them, give them, in the Middle East, you cannot just call a scholar by his name or say only Sheikh so and so. No, Al-Allama, Fadilat, Al-Ustad, Al-Doktor, Al-Allama, and Samahat al-Shaykh, and all these, titles has to be put before you mention the name. I dislike this very much. Say Sheikh so and so, that's it. No, you have to remember, you have to be smart, you have to say 3 or 4 of these things to it. And it's a big fitna, of course. So knowledge actually can lead people to be arrogant. Also, he talked about al-hasab wal-nasab, talking about the race, the family, and the tribe. And people used to be very proud of this. People, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, your last name matters very much. And if you say al-Numayri or al-Qurashi or al-Tamimi, this means you're from Bani Tamim or from Quraysh. Alright? Al-Asadi, Bani Asad, al-Zuhri from Bani Zuhra, and so on. And some tribes actually have very, very good reputation. Their name is like very prestigious name. And some other tribes are very way down. Sometimes people don't like, actually, they are coming from this tribe, but they feel so embarrassed to say that we are from this tribe. The people of Numayr, they used to, the ra sound is soft sound, right? Numayr. Numayr, it refers to the small river, Namir, Numayr. Could also be tasghir of Namir. Namir means tiger. Numayr, the Asad, Usaid. Namir, Numayr, like young Asad and young Numayr. So, and when they say I'm from Numayr, they don't say Numayr, they say Numayr. Numayr. You make it hard sound. And of course, if you study the Arabic poetry, most of it's about tribe. Okay? It's called madh, self-praising, one's tribe. And there was a tribe called Bahila, Bani al-Bahila. And the people who belong to this tribe, it's called al-Bahili. So if someone is Bahili, he's very embarrassed to say, I'm Bahili. Because Bahili is very low down in this ladder of social status or importance. So one of the people from Bahila actually became a very great leader. Abu Qutayba al-Bahili, one of the great leaders in Islam. And Abu Qutayba al-Bahili was Amir, big Amir. And one day he knew that he's a great person because of his achievement, people respect him, but not because of his tribe. And one day he talked to one of the soldiers and he told him, would you be a Bahili and take half of my authority? He said no. Right away, not even think about it, no. And he said, would you accept to be from Bahila and take all my authority? He said, no, thank you. And then this Amir told him, how about this? To guarantee that you are one of the people of Jannah, to take Jannah and to be from Bahila. And this man thought about it. It's Jannah. He said, well, yes, I have one condition. And he said, okay, what condition? He said, nobody among the people of Jannah should know that I'm from Bahila. This is how important pride in Arabic culture. Your name is important. And this actually came to our fiqh, unfortunately, and I wrote about this. When it comes to marriage, these customs has been legalized and became part of the fiqh books. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that the Hanafi madhab actually is the strongest on this. Strongest in putting people in different classes. And, Ibn Taymiyyah, of course, wrote, extensively about Arabs, and Arabs are better than others because the Prophet is an Arab and the Quran is an Arabic language, and therefore Arabs are higher than others. And not only that, within Arabs, from Quraysh, you are not equal to those who are out of Quraysh. And if you are from Quraysh but not from Bani Hashim, you are not equal to the people of Bani Hashim. And so on and so forth. But al-fakhr bil-ansab, I'm from Bani Tamim, I'm from Quraysh, and so on. And this tribalism still exists in Islam, but it's a different subject we can talk about later on. We know all the story of Abu Dharr when he said to Bilal, "Oh, son of black woman." Okay, and the Prophet ﷺ got very mad at him, and he said, إِنَّكَ مْرُؤٌ فِيكَ, you still have some jahiliyyah within you. They'll not come out to you. Also, al-jamal, beauty, and this, of course, more in women. I'll talk about women compete with each other, who's more beautiful. And they used to feel jealous of each other. Even the wives of the Prophet, the mothers of the believers, this jealousy is written in many different books that people always want to be more beautiful than others. In our time, there's no difference, men and women, everybody with, it's a big issue now. Beauty, it's a big business. Money, of course. People like to feel they're better than others, or look down at others because, and we have seen this actually, in our Muslim communities. People like to show off. They want to have the best wedding for their daughters, right, or their sons, and get their wedding in the biggest hall and invite more people. And again, that's also another sign of showing off. I know some people who are not that wealthy, but they ensure that when people see them, they think of them as wealthy people. The kind of cars they drive and the kind of homes they live in, and they cannot afford, in fact, and will do whatever it takes just to look like wealthy. This is a competition. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر. And we all know the story of Qarun. Allah has destroyed them. Allah has given him so much knowledge and money, and he was so arrogant. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed him because he said, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. I am wealthy because I'm so knowledgeable, so smart. فَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِ الْأَرْضِ. We all know the story. Another reason or cause that leads people to be arrogant is power. Power here refers to political power, tribe power, and physical power, and so on. تكبر بالأتباع والأنصار والتلامذة. The competition of how many followers we have, and this is unfortunately also true when it comes to scholars. There's a huge competition. Sometimes it's under the surface, nobody sees it. But I get close enough from big names, very big names, and our superstars in the media, and man, it's a big competition, huge competition. Because your value depends on how many followers, how many people watch your TV show, how many people, how many copies of your lecture are sold, and so on. And every year, it's like Forbes magazine. You have the most wealthy people, the most wealthy athletes, and so on. There is something like this among scholars, especially in the month of Ramadan, because the month of Ramadan is the month that sells very well. Anything religious would sell well, right? All these TV stations, they make so much money, especially in Ramadan, right? Huge business. And who are the superstars there? There's a competition. There's a competition. So he said some signs of arrogance and the kibr, the seed of the kibr in the hearts of the people. That these arrogant people, they always like to have followers walking behind them. They don't like to visit others. They expect others to go and visit them, but they don't go and visit people. They're too arrogant to visit people. Sometimes people don't like people to go and sit down near them. Why you're coming very close, sitting, And that's exactly what happened with the munafiqeen in Medina when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them, "Tamassu wa tarahamu." The masjid is not that big, and the munafiqeen don't like to sit next to former slaves and people who are not smelling very well, and they feel so arrogant. That's why the Quran says, "Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu idha qila lakum tafassahu fi al-majalisi fafsahu." Like usual imams ask you to move forward to provide space for those who come late and so on. They don't like to sit near anybody. They just want to have their own seat. It happens sometimes in banquets. It's very obvious that some people, they send someone to go and sit and reserve the seat for them. That doesn't look good. That's nice. And people don't like to sit in the back. You come late, and he doesn't want to sit in the back. Yeah, he sit where you find place. No, he goes all the way, sit in front. Yeah, humble yourself. If you want to be in the front, come early. You come late. Oh no, but I should have. Everybody should give me his place. Some actually don't like, this is important, don't like to do anything at home. No housework. They don't like to clean or wash dishes or, either wife or kids, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. And this is another sign of arrogance. They just walk in and stoop, proud to go and help his wife or his children doing these things. Clothes, we talked about it, and Imam Ghazali says that to dress well and to apply nice perfume is not bad in itself unless the intention is to show off. People like to do this. Buy very, very expensive neckties and suits and shoes and why? Even if you can afford it, that's way too much. You don't have to be the best in the gathering. But unfortunately, people do this. And then the Prophet ﷺ talked about humility and how to treat this. And one of the Salihin, so actually this is the story about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who is considered the fifth truly guided caliph after the four Khulafa. He is considered the fifth because of his taqwa and iman. He was an emir before he became the khalifa, and he went to do hajj, and he was walking in a way that not everybody else walks. And one of the ulama actually was there, and he put his finger on his side like this. Said, that's a very inappropriate way of walking. Right? You cannot walk like this. And because of his status and his age, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz told him, Wallahi, I have been beaten to learn how to walk this way. I've been disciplined, to be taught how to walk like this. It's not easy, but his family, Umayyads, they teach them how to walk. You cannot walk like this. You have to walk in a certain rhythm, in a certain, way and stature. The walk of princes, people who belong to the royal family, you have to walk in a certain way. So when this scholar actually hit him in his side with his finger and told him, don't walk like this, he said, I've been beaten to learn how to walk like this. Right? In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said while a person was walking, very proud of himself, يَتَبَخْتَرُ فِي مِشْيَتِهِ, he walks in a certain way, showing off, very happy with his clothes. إِذْ خَسَفَ اللَّهُ بِالْأَرْضِ, the earth swallowed him, and the Prophet ﷺ said he was still sinking down on the ground until the day of judgment, going down and down and down and down. It's authentic hadith. So this is how dangerous kibr and khuyala is. And again, the two values are maybe in conflict here: the value of beauty and the value of arrogance. And the Prophet ﷺ clarified it very perfectly when he said, "No, Allah is Jameel and He loves beauty, but kibr is something inside that leads to takabbur, and this is what Allah Subhanahu wa Taala dislikes." May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala make us among those who humble themselves to the Muslim brothers and sisters, and to all other people, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala grant us dignity and honor in this life and the life after. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفروه. Any comment or question?
You mentioned the statement of Abu Bakr Siddiq that his izar was sometime touching the ground.
He what?
His izar was sometime touching the ground.
Yeah.
But I think he did not complete the statement afterwards.
Yeah, he said, Rasulullah said, you're not one of them. Don't worry, you're not one of them. Because he was a very thin person. So when he put this towel sometimes, it does not hold. So it goes down, which means that to touch the ground. So the Prophet said, no, you're not one of them, don't worry. And that's a dalil that it is not the length of the pant or the shirt, but it is the niyyah, the arrogance inside the heart that Allah hates. And that's the perfect example of reading any text literal and take the literal meaning of it. I have seen when I was in high school and then in college, people always keep their pants up And not only that, they don't allow anyone to lead prayer, in school or any public place. And, there's no regular imam there. Anybody can lead. No, you cannot lead because your pant is on. And Allah, this hadith says that if your pant is below your ankle, then your salah will not be accepted. So therefore, you cannot lead the prayer. Okay? And I don't know why we are very easy to throw people in the hellfire. And instead of saving them from hellfire, we are more concerned about pushing them to hellfire. Everybody is the hellfire.
You also said we need to be humility.
True.
We should have humility and humbleness. But when it comes to dignity in front of people, so what should be our stance on that? Because sometimes we have to keep our dignity as well, right?
Right.
So then how we should be humble, humble and dignity?
Yeah, how can we keep our dignity while being humble at the same time? One of the sayings here said that, Tawada, humble yourself to those who are less than you in dunya. But those who want to put themselves above you, show dignity and respect. And sometimes it's kind of difficult to measure it. So if someone actually is showing arrogance and treating you with humiliation, then you need to keep yourself above him. Don't accept this. But when if you see people are poor or need, then you put yourself down. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the beautiful dua, he says, Allahumma ahini miskinan, tawaffani miskinan, wahshurni fi zumrat al-masakin. Let me live as a miskin and die as miskin. And at the day of judgment, join me with the masakin. And he used to eat like a miskin and sleep like a miskin. And you don't know. When people walk in, they don't know who's Muhammad, who's the Prophet, because he looks like everybody else. Rahman ibn Auf, one of the wealthiest men in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to say that you cannot differentiate between him and his servants. You go in the workplace, you don't know who is the boss and who is the worker. Right? So, Allahu A'lam. Yes?
A lot of people, and particularly in namaz, when I come, everyone wants to put a hat on. But in Hajj time, you don't have any hat or anything, just a few strips. Now, why such a big difference?
Because of the difference of custom. It has everything to do with custom, it has nothing to do with religion. In some countries, walking without a hat on your head is shameful. That's their custom. But to Islamize this culture or to legalize it is very problematic, which people do all the time. I was an imam in Pittsburgh and I was leading the prayer, and one of the brothers would visit from other mosques. He was an old man, and I was leading the prayer. And after Salah, he came to me. He said, how come you read the Salah without covering your head? I said, what's wrong with that? He said, no, you cannot do that. You have to have. I said, I have to. So is there any hadith that says that one must cover his head? He said, yeah, here's a hadith. So can you please show me where this hadith, or where can I find it? Yeah, I'll find out. And he never found out anything. Because there's no such a thing. There's no one single hadith. There's no one single hadith that says that there is any thawab or merit of covering one's head, let alone that it's a must. Place like in Afghanistan, again, you don't see a man without something on the top of his head. That's custom. And now in Arabia, for example, they have this called shmal, this scarf, right? And I don't know how they move around and they talk and they walk and they always have to keep doing this and this. I tried it once, I found it very troubling. But again, it's coming from the kind of weather they have. It's very hot, and these people most of the time are outside, right? And they have to cover themselves, right? And this old turban thing, it's also used for protection. If you don't cover your head in this extreme heat, then this can kill you. And that's why they have this tail. You remember this, some turbans, they have a tail that sometimes goes all the way down, again, to cover their neck. And in the time of sandy storms, they go and... So it makes a lot of sense. But now, for those who live in air conditions, they still use it. It became part of their tradition. We should respect that. But don't tell me that's Islam. Don't tell me that's Islam. That's your custom. And that's why the ulama differentiate between the sunnah tashri'iyya and sunnah ghayr tashri'iyya. The sunnah, legislative sunnah and non-legislative sunnah. The sunnah that has to do with Islamic law, whether it is recommended or obligatory, that's sunnah tashri'iyya. So the Prophet, for example, he used to eat with his right hand. And he told us, eat with your right hand. It becomes sunnah. But he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had this big turban on his head. Is it sunnah? No. It's sunnah, but it's not tashri'iyya. So the word sunnah here is a linguistic, is used in the linguistic sense, not in the legal sense. So there's no blame for anyone not to have a hat in his I don't know if this answers. In ihram in particular, it's prohibited. Right? Because people should show humility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to look different from others. Yes?
The word arrogance is used to describe the takabbur. Mm-hmm. And arrogant you use for the...
Arrogance for the what's in the heart?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the takabbur, right?
No, kibr, that's kibr. What's in the heart is kibr, yes.
And arrogance you
to act arrogantly is takabbur.
Is takabbur. So what describes mutakabbir?
This is called ism fa'il because takabbara has 4 letters. There are some verbs in Arabic has 3 roots, like dhahaba, akala, kataba. There are only 3 letters. So akala, the person who did the verb is called akil. Kataba, katib. Shariba, sharib. Right? And now, if you have 4, the verb is made of 4 letters, like takabbara, then it's called mutakabbir, mutafa'il. Okay? And safara, musafir. Right? So, mutakabbir is the one who is acting arrogantly. The act itself and the person, well, so takabbur is the act. Mutakabbir is the one who is acting arrogantly.
Mutakabbir is the subject.
No. The subject, yes. And Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْتَكْبِرِينَ. Mustakbir and mutakabbir are the same. واستكبر هو وجنوده في الأرض بغير الحق. When Allah talks about Fir'aun, استكبر هو وجنوده في الأرض بغير الحق. You have no right to act like this. You have no authority. You are not created to abuse others or to feel you are better than others.
So now, is it true that you know in your heart when you are arrogant?
What do you think? I think that's not a question. That's more of a statement.
Is the difference between humility, dignity, and the arrogance? I think personally that you know in your heart when you are arrogant.
That's right. Absolutely. There's no arrogance meter that can, or app that tells you how much arrogance you have in your heart. You have to be sincere with yourself. When you feel you're too proud, one person asked his sheikh, when should I speak? And when should I remain silent? Because we go and sit people and sometimes we talk so much. He said, when should I speak? He said, when you desire to remain silent. When should I remain silent? He said, when you desire to speak. You have to be always, to ask yourself, why should I speak? I won't speak, no, keep it. Or you are afraid to speak because you're in trouble, this is the time we should speak. Because you know something, witnessed something, then you have to speak. And that's why we study this, because as doctors always say that the first step to treat any illness is to diagnose it, to know there's something wrong. If you're not aware of the illness, then how can you treat it? So if you don't know anything about kibr, or you might have some kibr in your heart, how will you treat it? So we have to look at our hearts, and if we are acting arrogant. And some people like to come late because they want to be the last one to come and the first one to go. You know, we invited a speaker that was years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago. Came late, and everybody's waiting in the social hall. But he came here to pray the salah that he missed. I think it was Maghrib or something. And he's taking his time and walking very slowly, and everybody stops him and wants to kiss his hand. And I said, come on man, you are already late. You are waiting there for 30 plus minutes waiting. Just has to take his time, and everybody has to wait. I'm not going to mention names, but I have seen tens of examples of this. Tens of examples of this. Again, the important point is that, as we mentioned, kibr is an act of the heart. It may appear in the person's behavior, but we should not rush to judge. Because again, sincerity and kibr, these are the acts of the heart. You cannot say, oh, this person, mashallah, is mukhlis, and ikhlas, is sincere. How do you know he's sincere? Or he's arrogant. I remember one day there was a gathering, and everybody was sitting on the floor, and I have severe back pain. Allah knows. When I took this big shot in the back, so I was sitting on the chair. Everybody was sitting on the ground. And this brother came to me after, brother, you should sit down like you. Why are you putting yourself? I said, Akhi, I have, everybody, most of the people know that I have severe back pain. It's not, so don't rush. Okay, you know what? Everybody is sitting on the floor, and that's arrogance. This person is arrogant. Not necessarily. And some acts are very obvious, of course. You know, it is very obvious. You know, but we should not rush to judge that this person is arrogant. Allah Alam. We should care about ourselves, not about others.
So when arrogance comes to my heart, and I know it's coming and it's there, what remedy you suggest?
What remedy? That's a good question. One arrogant leader, he's not the Khalifa, but was one of the princes, he was acting very arrogantly. And this scholar told him that this is not, you should not behave this way. And he told him that, don't you know who I am? He said, yeah, I know who you are. You came from a very disgusting sperm. That's your beginning. And your end, you'll be thrown in the grave, and in a few days will be a very disgusting thing. And in between, you walk with all this filth inside of your stomach. This is what I know about you. So let's think about it, where we came from. The Quran used this term for a reason. وَخَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ مَاءٍ مَهِينٍ. They've been created from this ma, mahin. I know this is the name of some people, but the word mahin means what? Huh? The word ihana. Ihana means to insult someone. So insulting someone because he's in a he's muhan, yeah. That stuff that you store in your garbage, in your garage, a lot of things, that's mahin. And that's why the ulama say that it's not haram to make a doll for kids to play with. It's different from building a statue. Right? That's haram. But how about stuffing dolls with cotton and make that? The ulama said it's okay because it's mahin. It is not to be worshipped. Nobody will think about worshipping it. Right? So it's something that you can find in the floor. It's mahin. So the sperm of the man is mahin. Right?
So in Urdu language, mahin is used for delicacy or delicate.
Really?
Right?
So it's not an Arabic word. Maybe Persian.
That's
Mahin.
Mahin means a weak, delicate.
Ma or ma?
Mahim is
Mahim with the M,
and
with the N in the end. Maheen.
M-A-H-I-N. Maheen.
Maheen. Oh, this is the same. I mean, weak. You said weak.
Weak. Maheen is weak.
Weak or valueless, or something that does not have value. You know. So this is. He told them, this is your beginning, this is your end, and in between, that's why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala reminds us sometimes that we are really weak. All these illnesses and death that happens around us, and loss of. Because sometimes we feel we are in control of all things. We're not in control. Right? So all these storms and natural things that happen that remind us we are very vulnerable. But sometimes we act like Pharaoh. Yes. This gentleman just raised his hand a number of times.
Question earlier, you were mentioning with the scholars that they all want to compete to be the most knowledgeable.
Not to be the most knowledgeable, to be the most famous.
Okay.
And most respected.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
isn't that in a sense a good kind of pride because they want to be known as like the best scholar?
Well,
Because you know how there's good kinds of pride in Islam, like to compete to donate the most or to know the most about Islam.
if this is the intention, it should be. Because Islam encourages knowledge. And we should respect knowledgeable people. But I'm not mentioning any names, but I know. And Imam Ghazali talked about it extensively. Because again, he came from this culture. He was the most famous and smart person who makes most money and has good connection with the political authority. And he found out that he's destroying himself. Why I'm doing this? I'm doing it for dunya. He said that. I'm doing this for dunya. So that's why he wrote about these things. What I'm saying is that ulama should not or should be free from pressures. And these pressures come from governments, comes from the masses. And recently in the modern time, it's my observation, it comes from the businessmen. If you are an eloquent speaker, then all these TV owners would love to have you because you have followers. So when you come and speak in his station, then the more followers, the more money comes because you have commercials and more people watching. I have seen this, and I know very well, from very closely. The competition is just amazing. There's no difference between like singers or athletes and all these people. Everybody wants to be in the top. And very few, very, very, very few who understand this kind of fitna, understand that this may destroy the religion, and some of them actually found out later when they. Because actually, if you are so famous and all these governments or political authorities will put pressure on you. And the pressure also comes from people, because if you want to reform, if you want to introduce new ideas, again, you're going to lose your followers, you may lose your job, and you lose your status, and so you have to say what people want to hear. And that's why everything is haram, haram, haram. This makes you perfect speaker. If you are tough and making everything, and the same people make everything haram for people, they make everything halal for themselves. And it's very easy to justify it. Very easy. Very easy. So it's a huge fitna. So the fitna, love of money, love of women, love of position, are fitnas. Very destructive. That's why Imam Ghazali took himself and escaped. He ran away from this. He ran away from this. And when he came back, he did not want to be in any position.
So these well-known scholars, they're making good money.
I'm not saying everybody.
Yeah.
But I just want to let you know how dangerous it is. Even scholars, even people of knowledge, that's why ulama al-hadith, in the science of hadith, everyone in the chain of narration is judged whether he's adl or not adl, trustworthy or not trustworthy. So, if one scholar judged that the other scholar is not trustworthy, the ulama don't accept his shahada. You know why? Because they live at the same time, there's competition. So, imagine you and I are scholars at the same time, and you narrate a hadith, and I will say, no, you are not trustworthy, people should not write hadith from you, because you are not trustworthy. The other ulama will not take this. Why? Because there's some jealousy. Usually happens. Again, guys, I'm not saying all scholars are this. I'm not saying that. Okay? But what I'm saying is that if this happens to scholars, what happened to ourselves? So we have to take it more seriously. Yes?
Am I correct to make a statement that the takabbur is the hypocrisy?
Continue.
Takabbur creates hypocrisy.
Creates hypocrisy. Creates hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure, because hypocrisy means people are too weak to declare their faith. So that's why there's no hypocrisy in Mecca. Hypocrisy came in Medina because in Mecca Islam was weak, politically I mean. In Medina Islam became very powerful. And so these kuffar could not, they want to benefit from Islam because Islam is growing. And they cannot declare the real faith. That's why hypocrisy in a sense is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of weakness. And this may explain why many people, including Abu Sufyan and his son Muawiyah, they became Muslims when the Prophet came with these 10,000 fighters to Mecca. So you cannot, it's difficult not to be Muslim at that time. It's politically correct to be Muslim, to be part of, because everybody wants to join the strong team. Right? Everybody likes to be in the side of the strong, powerful people. So Islam is winning, go with Islam. Oh, Islam is weak, run away from it. It's exactly that's why the Umayyads changed so much of Islamic tradition. And they lived like in big palaces, and they built these lofty palaces and mosques. And this actually, in a way, why Sufism actually emerged as a very strong movement in Islam, as a reaction to this luxurious and lavish lifestyle that the Umayyads became kings, basically, not khulafa, not like Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. These people could be very wealthy, but they decided to live a very modest life because they were servants to Islam. But Umayyads came as kings. And many people said, no, that's Islam. Take the opposite. The opposite is abstinence or zuhd or wara. And that's why all these strong Sufi scholars came in the second and third generation. Sufyan al-Thawri and Junayd and Bishr al-Hafi and Ibrahim al-Adham and Harith al-Muhasabi, and then after them Hassan al-Basri and then al-Ghazali and others. It came as a reaction to this. So I'm not sure if arrogance leads to hypocrisy. Not every hypocrite is arrogant. Not every arrogant person is necessarily hypocrite. Allahu A'lam. If you guys have any other opinion or want to address this point, please go ahead. Yes.
I just had a quick question. So
what time is Shahab? 10:20.
So in the beginning you mentioned that there's three things that Allah dislikes: stinginess, that is obeyed, arrogance, and what was the third? We did discuss.
Follow desire.
Sorry? Follow desire.
Follow desires. Our desires that is followed. Whatever desire wants, just go and fulfill الشهوات يعني. هوى متبع حديث شح مطاع وهوى متبع وإعجاب المرء بنفسه.
Those are signs of weakness and faith.
These are the three destructive things.
Three things that Allah dislikes.
Sorry?
You said it was three things that Allah dislikes?
Are destructive and destroys people. When they obey their desires and when they follow their stinginess. In other words, they're not resisting. Well, we have to resist, and that's mujahada that we talked about. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك واعصم من الانسان التي خسر الذين امنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, next Jum'ah we'll have the Ramadan workshop to be in the social hall. Be talking about